Hello, welcome students. In today's session, we will talk about the poem Sohrab and Rustum by Mathew Arnold. This poem is prescribed in BA Part 2nd, MGSUBIKANER, in the paper of English Literature, paper 1st of Poetry and Drama. So, here we are students. This is our poem Sohrab and Rustum. Actually, this is an episode of a long narrative poem with strong tragic themes, which was first published in 1853, written by Mathew Arnold. The poem actually retells a famous episode from Firdausi's Persian epic, Shahnama. The title of that epic is Shahnama, relating how the great warrior Rustum unwittingly slew his long-lost son Sohrab in single combat. So, actually Arnold, who was unable to read the original Shahnama, he relied on summaries of the story in John Malcolm's History of Persia and Saint-Vieu's review of a French prose translation of Firdausi. So, actually in this Sohrab and Rustum, Arnold attempted to imitate the grandeur and rapidity of Homer's style, which he was to discuss in his lectures on translating Homer in 1861. The whole poem consists of 892 lines of blank verse. So let's have a brief intro of this poem. The plot is like this, that the armies of Persians and the Tartars, they have met on a plain by the river Oxus. So the young warrior Sohrab, who is fighting for the Tartars, so actually he joined the Tartar army, and he asked the Tartar general Visa to delay the battle so he can challenge the Persian lords to single combat. He hopes that the fame he will win from this feat will reach the ears of his long lost father Rustum. Actually, he wants to meet his lost father Rustum. He had keen desire to meet him. His father was also a great warrior about whom he heard a lot of from his mother Tahmina. So the general Visa, he is reluctant to let Sohrab risk his life in such a way, and tells him that he would be better to seek Rustum far away in Sistan, where the old warrior is living in retirement with his father Zal. So he reluctantly agrees to Sohrab's request and challenges the Persians to choose a champion to fight with the young man. And the opposite army is of the Persians, who are at a loss who to send. But the general Gurjis, he learns that Rustum has arrived in the camp the night before, and he goes to Rustum's tent to try to persuade him to take up the challenge. Rustum at first refuses, claiming he is too old and battle weary and feels unappreciated by the young Persian king, Khusro. So unaware of the young man's true identity, the young man Sohrab, who was his real son in actual, but Rustum didn't know his true identity. He says that he wishes he had a son like Sohrab. Then the general of Persian army, Gudrus, he eventually persuades Rustum to fight. But Rustum only agrees on one condition, that he meets Sohrab incognito. Incognito means in disguise of, so wearing a plain armor. Thus, the scene is like this, that Sohrab and Rustum, when they face each other in the battlefield between the two armies of Tartar and Persians. Rustum, who is moved to pity at the sight of the young boy and offers to take him back to Sistan to live as his son if he will give up the fight. Sohrab has an intuition that the man is his father and asks him if he is indeed Rustum. On the other side, Rustum fears that this is simply a trick, so the lad can boast of having challenged the great warrior and refuses to reveal his true identity. After then, the combat begins between them. Rustum misses Sohrab with his club, giving his opponent the opportunity to spear him. Instead, Sohrab offers Rustum a truce. Rustum angrily refuses, calling Sohrab a girl, and then like this the fight continues with a great intensity. And finally, as he is about to deliver a mighty blow, Rustum shouts out the battle cry, Rustum. So after hearing this cry, this so unexpectedly, that confuses Sohrab, and he drops his guard, allowing Rustum to deal him a mortal wound. So as Sohrab lies dying, he proudly declares his ancestral lineage, promising that his own father Rustum will somehow hear of his demise and revenge him. So at this, the victorious, the warrior, great warrior Rustum, he got astonished after knowing this fact that Sohrab was his actual son, and he demands certain proofs to establish Sohrab's claim. Then Sohrab readily compiles, finally revealing a heraldic emblem, an emblem tattooed upon his upper arm by his mother when still a child. Then Rustum recognizes his own heraldry, and convinced too late of the truth of Sohrab's words, drops his arms and tears his hair, wailing in grief and shame. Then, holding his only son, whom he had never before met and whom he has now unwittingly slain, Rustum disdains any further part in the warfare, and the opposing armies withdraw in peace. So this is like the scenario of this poem, and this extract is has been taken from Mathew Arnold's long narrative poem Sohrab and Rustum, which was written in 1853. In this poem, the poet has recreated this tragic story, which was originally written by the Persian poet Firdausi. So I hope you have got a sufficient idea of the background information of this poem. Now, here the moment when Rustum speared down his unknowingly, when he spared his own son, and after getting to know the reality that Sohrab was his real son, he got dumbed, he got very soaked. So he gets very soaked after knowing this cruel, tragic fact. And at that time, when Sohrab got a severe wound, here the poet describes the condition of dying Sohrab's body. When he says, I'm reading for you, he spoke, and Sohrab smiled on him, and took the spear and drew it from his side, and eased his wound's imperious anguish, but the blood came welling from the open gash and life. So now the poet is describing that Sohrab, who is lying wounded with his life and which gradually escaping from his grasp, he at last spoke. What was the condition of Sohrab? That he smiled on him, who is the other person, that on the Sohrab is smiling on his father, and as he was lying there wounded by his own father, he took the spear from him and he drew it from his side, and he tried an attempt to ease out his wounds imperious anguish, because he was suffering that unbearable pain, that imperious anguish. But the blood came welling from the open gash when, as he tries uh, draw to draw out that spear from his wounds. Then what happened? The blood started coming out, and that open gash, that open wound, from that open wound, and life flowed within the stream all down his cold white side. And now the crimson torrent ran dim now and soiled. Here Arnold describes the blood, that red color crimson torrent ran. So here the blood that started flowing from Sohrab's body, when it flowed like a stream and all down his cold white side, that the crimson torrent ran dim now and soiled. So that crimson red color blood, that warm and red color blood that used to rain to run in his body, now it has changed the color. It becomes it has become white and dim and soiled, dim, dull, because as he is approaching towards his death, and he lost all his strength and consciousness. His color of blood that has become soiled, means it gets dirty, like the soiled tissue of white violets left freshly gathered on their native bank. So here Arnold gives simile to compare the physical condition of Sohrab's body like the soiled tissue of white violets left. That he is saying that the white colors flowers, when they get soiled, when they are left freshly gathered on their native bank, on the edge of a river, native bank, when they are gathered by the children whom their nurses call with haste. So his physical body is appearing like this, that as if they are like the white violets flowers which are left by the children, as the children has gathered them on their native banks, and when they left after calling by the nurses in hurry, in haste. So just like when after then the flowers, they gets dirtied, they gets soiled when they are plucked and gathered, and in hurry, in a hurry, children left them, then the fresh white colored flowers gets dirtied, they gets dim, and indoors from the sun's eye by children whom their nurses call with haste, indoors from the sun's eye. And why the nurses are calling the children? To kept them away from the eyes of burning sun's eye, the heat, from the heat, to keep them away from the heating light of sun. His head dropped low, his limbs grew slack, motionless, white. He lay, white with eyes closed, only when heavy gasp, deep heavy gasp quivering through all his frame. So at this moment, what is his condition is like that the poet describes that his limbs is growing loose, means he is losing his old strength and he becomes motionless. There is no movement at all, and the color of his body also turns white as he is lying there wounded with eyes closed, and his eyes are also closed. Only when deep heavy gasps quivering through all his frame. Yet there is a sign of life in Sohrab's body only when he takes heavy breath and deep heavy breaths. While taking deep heavy breaths, he is quivering all through his frame. Means his whole body is quivering. His whole body starts to quivering when it means he is taking breathing very with very much difficulty. So this was his physical condition, convulsed him back to life. When he is taking deep heavy breaths, it seems that he is trying to getting back to life again. He opened them and fixed them feebly on his father's face. And he opens his eyes and he fixes his eyes feebly on his, with very trouble, on his father's face. Till now all strength was ebbed, and from his limbs unwilling the spirit fled away. And till then, when all his strength was ebbed, means drained away, and from his limbs it seems that his spirit is unwillingly has to flee. So his spirits ultimately unwillingly had fled away now, regretting the warm mansion which it left. So here the warm mansion means house, and here it denotes his physical body. So it seems that the spirit of Sohrab's body, it unwillingly fled away, and also regretting the mansion, his physical body which it left, and youth and bloom and this delightful world. So it seems that his spirit is regretting on the fact that it has to left its mansion which is in its full bloom, which is in prime of this delightful world, and it has to flew away, and but with a regret that it seems that the spirit doesn't want to leave that warm mansion, means Sohrab's full prime youth. It doesn't want to leave, but it has to leave for the another world, that means to the world, the life after death. After then, the poet talks the scenario. So on the bloody sand, Sohrab lay dead. Now, when Sohrab has already dead, and where was his dead body lying? It is lying on the bloody sand, because that area is of desert, and the great Rustum drew his horseman's cloak down over his face and set by his dead son. After then, when Sohrab died, his father, the great warrior, the great voluminous warrior, incredible warrior Rustum, he drews a cloak, horseman's cloak. Cloak is a long garment. He puts down it on his son's face and then set by his dead son. As those black granite pillars once high reared by Jamsheds in Persepolis to bear his house, now meet their broken flights of steps, lie prone enormous down the mountainside, so in the sand lay Rustum by his side. Now the poet is describing the pathetic situation of a father who is now sitting by side of his dead son, and he is comparing that pathetic situation, that it seems that those black granite pillars which are high reared by Jamshed in Persepolis, the capital of Persia, so where there are high pillars, granite pillars, which are built by Jamshed and to bear his house, now meet their broken flights of steps. And now those high granite pillars they have been broken flights of steps, they have been broken in staircase, they are lying prone unattempted, the enormous down the mountainside, they are divided in stones, they along with the mountain sides, so in the sand lay Rustum by his son. Like this, in the sand of desert there is lying the dead son of Rustum, and along with his son Rustum is lying in feeling, or he is looking very tragically, who is suffering, who is very much sad after knowing the cruel truth, or that the dead son, he himself has murdered him. Now, moving ahead, and night came down over the solemn waste, and the two gazing hosts and that solar pair, and darkened all, and a cold fog with night crept from the oxes. Now the poet is describing the natural scenario, that what was the time of that tragic moment. At that time night came down over the solemn waste, that silence, the desert area with grave condition. At that time night came down, night falls down, and the two gazing hosts. So here the two gazing hosts are the army people of both of the armies of Tartars and Persians, and that there is the soul pair. Soul pair is the pair of father son, that is of Rustum and Sohrab, and darkened all. So all was there, all darkness is prevailing there, and a cold fog. So a cold fog with night, and there is also that darkness is engulfed by a cold mist with the night crept from the Oxus, and that is coming from the Oxus river. Soon a hum arose as of a great assembly loosed, and fires began to twinkle through the fog. For now both armies moved to camp and took their meal. And after then soon a hum arose. Hum, that noising sound, a humming sound, a buzzing sound that arose as if it, and here the poet is comparing the humming sound as if there are a great number of people who are assembled there, and suddenly when they are they they when they move in different groups like that, the noisy talking sound started to come, and there are fires begin to tinkle through the fog. And when the people of two different armies, when they return to their camp, they also starts fire, and we seems that that seems to twinkling that or shining through the mist, which is coming from which is spreading in all over the atmosphere. And now what happened, both the people of armies, they already had moved to their camp and they started to take their meal. The Persians took it on the open sands southward, the Tartars by the river March. March means the edge of the river. The Persian armies people, they start taking their meal on the open desert area in southward, and the Tartars, they starts taking their meal by the riverside, and Rustum and his son were left alone. And Rustum and his dead son, they were left alone there in their gloomy situation. Rustum, who is lamenting on the death of his dead son. Now, moving ahead, but the majestic river floated on out of the mist and hum of that low land into the frosty starlight, and there moved rejoicing through the hushed Goswamian waste under the solitary moon. Now here the poet is describing the natural scenery, the natural objects of that mighty river Oxysius, how it looks like while flowing. But the majestic river, that majestic river is Oxus river, which is kept on flowing, and out of the mist, hum of that lowland, out of that mist which is prevailed all over the atmosphere, and that humming sound which is coming from those army groups, and that lowland, from that lowland the river Oxus keeps on flowing, and it flows from the frosty starlight, and there moved, then it keeps on moving happily. Rejoicing means it keeps on moving happily through the hushed Corinthian waste. Hushed means silenced. The silenced Corinthian, it is a part of an area of Iran, a city of Iran, a desert area of Iran, where that river is moving under the solitary moon, and the river is moving under the solitary moon. He flowed right for the polar star, past Oranguns, brimming and bright and large. Then sands begin. This flow, which is flowing to the direction of the pole star, and also it crosses the past Orangus is a name of his town, and it seems that it is also shining and full of light, and its shapes become large while it flows away. Its shapes becomes large. Then sands begin. After then, there are obstacles in the form of sands that begin in way, in the path of this river to hem his watery march. So in the flow in the direction of the marching to hem his watery march and dam his streams. So the poet is in a way is talking about that after the speedy and smoothie flow of that river, when then the obstacles in the form of watery dam, in the form of sands, in the form of dams, it starts in the marching way of the river, that it gets divided into various streams, and spilled his currents. So it gets divided in different spills, or in his currents, means in different pathways, that for many a league the sown and parcelled oxus strands along. So like this, that sown and parcelled means it divided into, that oxus river divided into many many streams through beds of sand and mated rusty isles, oxus, forgetting the bright speed he had. So that river, it crosses through the beds of sand. There are different streams of sand, and there are it also gets divided, mated through rusty or stony group of isles, means islands. And now forgetting the bright speed he had, it seems that the river has forgotten its earlier bright speed, which it used to be, which it used to have, or with the pace, bright speed of the pace, the earlier old pace it used to have to while crossing. It seems that it has all forgotten, or it means it has baffled between in different ways. Oxus forgetting the bright speed he had in his high mountain cradle in Pamir. It seems that that high mountain, where that river Oxus was born, in the mountain area, that in the area of plateau of Pamir, where it was born, a foiled circuitous wanderer, till at last it seems that it baffled like a struggler, a wanderer, till the last, the long 4 days of waves is hard and wide. Means it means that it gets diverted, and like a wanderer, like a struggler, till the last 4 days of waves is heard. It means it used to desire the dashing of waves, the dashing sound of waves, it heard, which is heard, and his luminous home of waters opens bright, tranquil, from whose floor the new birth stars emerge and shine upon the aerial sea. It seems that now the river has been merged into the aerial sea. Now it is moving towards his luminous home of water opens bright. That luminous home of waters means that aerial sea, it opens, it starts now, and that calm sea from whose floor the new birth stars emerge. It seems that the calm sea, which seems a kind of floor, it seems that there are numerous new birth stars are emerging from its floor, from its bottom, and they are shining upon the aerial sea. So this is the course of path of that Oxus river, which shifts in different areas, in different pathways in different currents, it gets shifting. So this actually also shows that in this concluding part, it also shows that the poet is making continuous different shifts of his focus, that from Rustum and Sohrab, after then he starts depicting the beauty of nature, and that this Oxus river, that it originating from the plateau of Pamir, the river Oxus that flows majestically in a wavy path till at last its waves merge with the Aral Sea. That is its final destination. The moment of the river is in fact an implied comment upon the nature of life. That it also has that philosophical touch, that there is a changing flow of human life as well, when our life also, that life also originates, and after it originates at some point of time, and it also varies from person to person, but after completing its course, like the river, life has to ultimately merge or with the infinite. So thus the poem reaches philosophical heights and explores the nature of mortality. That we find here that the tragic theme of the poem of father-son relations, that where a father Rustum, who stands by his dead son as he oscillates between life and death, and then the struggle ends, and Sohrab, who lies motionless in the desert with a broken and distressed Rustum by his side. So this contrast is very much symbolic of the fact that nature goes on its way. Nature is always moving on. Nature keeps on moving. It goes on its way without any regard to the personal tragedy of any person. So not only this, even the armies on both sides resume the war in routine manner. So everything happens at a particular moment of time, and everything and anything in life or nature that keeps on changing, keeps on moving, and nothing can control or nothing can change the cruel fate of the cruel fates, or the cruel decision of our human destiny. We can say that destiny or fate always play their role in certain manner, and an individual cannot have the restraint on it, and individual cannot change the fate, his or her own fate, and it is beyond upon his own control. So I hope you have understood the gist of this poem, and this is for all today. Now students, thank you. We will meet again in our next class. Thank you.